The stars above Saturn shimmered in silence, unaware of what was coming. Helios 9 floated like a crown of light over the planet's rings, humanity's pride, built to watch the frontier. Inside, alarms whispered before they screamed. Commander Mira Reeve stood alone in the command deck, eyes locked on a cluster of red marks blooming across the holographic display. No message came. No signal of peace. Only the sharp pulse of incoming fire. The first blast tore through the station's spine. Metal screamed, lights flickered, and in an instant, the outpost that represented decades of human hope turned into dust among Saturn's rings. Asha managed to send half a transmission before the fire took her. Helios 9 under attack, tell Earth. Then there was nothing. Just the quiet hum of a dying signal fading into the void. But Earth heard enough. And Earth remembered. They had reached for humanity's edge, and humanity decided to show them just how far its reach could strike back. The transmission reached Earth 22 minutes after Helios 9 went silent. A fractured signal, buried in static, just enough to carry Mira Reeve's final words. Within an hour, every major network on Earth was streaming the same 10 seconds of footage, a trembling screen, the roar of distant explosions, a woman's voice shouting over chaos, and then, nothing. At first, the world didn't believe it. Saturn's outer orbit was supposed to be untouchable, protected by human defense satellites, covered by the fleet's surveillance grid. No one had ever dared strike so close to home. But when long-range telescopes captured the debris field circling the planet, confirmation arrived like a punch to the gut. 500 souls. Scientists, engineers, officers. Gone. Humanity's beacon among the stars, extinguished in a single burst of light. In the underground chambers of Geneva Command, silence filled the room as the Earth Defense Council reviewed the data. Sensor logs identified the attackers, the Velther Dominion, a species humanity had only recently encountered on the edge of known space. There had been negotiations. Agreements. Promises of peace. And now, betrayal. Admiral Roth slammed his fist against the table. They didn't just attack a base, he said, voice trembling with fury. They attacked us. Every city. Every family. Every human being. No one argued. There was nothing left to say. Across the world, the grief turned to anger. Children who had lost parents at Helios 9 watched the news with clenched fists. Factories retooled overnight. Nations that had once sworn never to fight side by side signed a single document under a single flag. The United Earth Fleet was reborn, not as a defense force, but as an executioner. And at its heart stood Lieutenant Mira Reeve, Asha's daughter. She watched her mother's final transmission on loop, each time catching another whisper, another fragment of breath before the static claimed it. Her eyes didn't show tears anymore, only purpose. You wanted to test humanity, she murmured. Now you'll see what happens when we stop holding back. Around her, the shipyards of Mars ignited with light. New dreadnoughts rolled from their docks, engines glowing like miniature suns. The fleet's flagship, Solaris Vengeance, hummed with the weight of righteous fury. The mission's name was simple. Cold. Precise. Operation Final Dawn. No negotiation. No surrender. No warnings. Earth would answer the only way it knew how, completely. As the first fleet launched toward the stars, the people of Earth watched in silence. Some prayed. Some wept. But most simply stared upward, whispering the same words Asha had tried to send before she died. Tell Earth. And Earth had heard. Loud and clear. The stars no longer looked peaceful. For centuries, humanity had looked up in wonder, now it looked up with purpose. In orbit above Mars, the newly forged United Earth Fleet stretched across the darkness like a metallic storm. Ships from every nation, vessels that once bore different flags, now carried a single emblem, a burning sun encircled by 5 rings. The symbol of vengeance. At the center of it all stood the UES Solaris Vengeance, command ship of Operation Final Dawn. Lieutenant Mira Reeve stood on its bridge, her mother's insignia pinned over her heart. The faint reflection of Saturn's rings flickered across her visor. For a moment, she could almost hear Asha's voice, calm, steady, guiding. Protect humanity, no matter the cost. She didn't answer out loud. She just tightened her grip around the command rail. Behind her, Admiral Roth's voice carried across the deck. Navigation, confirm coordinates. The Velthor system lies 21 light-years from Sol. We jump on my mark. Mira's second-in-command, Lieutenant Voss, whispered. You think they're ready for this? She didn't look at him. No one's ready for what's coming. The weapon was unlike anything humanity had ever created. Project Erasure, nicknamed the Sunlance, was the culmination of a decade of experimental stellar engineering, a device capable of collapsing a star into itself by destabilizing its fusion core. It wasn't built for defense. It was built for extinction. The scientists who designed it wept when they realized what it could do. Now, that same device rested in the Solaris's forward bay, humming with restrained power. The countdown began. All ships, initiate jump sequence in 3, 2, 1. Reality folded. For an instant, everything, stars, sound, time, vanished into white. Then, as if tearing through fabric, the fleet emerged in orbit above the Velthor homeworld. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, shining cities suspended in clouds. A paradise. And it was about to die. Velthor ships swarmed in panic, forming a defensive perimeter. They transmitted messages, desperate, pleading. Human vessels, cease approach. We can negotiate. This is misunderstanding. Mira watched the holographic feed. She saw the faces of alien leaders begging for peace, the same species that had reduced Helios 9 to ashes without warning. Her jaw tightened. They didn't misunderstand, she said softly. They chose war. She turned to her weapons officer. Target their sun. A hush fell across the command deck. Even the machinery seemed to hesitate. Ma'am, the officer said quietly, this will end them. All of them. That's the point. With a single motion, Mira authorized the strike. Far beyond the fleet, the Sunlance unfolded, a spear of light stretching across space, aimed at the Velthor star. Energy built until the entire system seemed to tremble. For Helios 9, Mira whispered. And then she fired. The darkness of space exploded into dawn. The light reached them before the sound ever could. From the bridge of the Solaris Vengeance, Mira watched the Velthor sun convulse, a star bleeding itself apart. Its surface rippled like boiling glass, waves of golden fire tearing across the void. The light bathed every ship in blinding brilliance, turning the fleet's steel hulls into silhouettes against the apocalypse. Then came the collapse. Gravity folded in on itself. The star's heart imploded, dragging everything toward its fury, planets, moons, stations, and the proud cities of the Velthor. One by one, their transmissions went silent. 100 million voices crying out in panic, gone. Inside the control deck, no one cheered. The crew watched in silence as an entire civilization vanished before their eyes. Impact confirmed, the sensor officer whispered. Velthor system, destroyed. Mira exhaled slowly. She'd imagined this moment for months, the satisfaction, the justice, the vengeance. But now that it was here, all she felt was the weight of the quiet. The Solaris drifted among the ashes of a dead sun. The battlefield was gone, replaced by a void so dark it seemed to swallow light itself. Admiral Roth finally broke the silence. It's done. Earth is safe. Is it? Mira asked. He turned toward her. For the first time, she looked older than he did, eyes hollow, face pale in the glow of dying fire. We saved our people, he said firmly. That's all that matters. We didn't save them, she murmured. We became something else for them. No one answered. There were no words strong enough to fill that silence. Mira stepped closer to the viewport. In the distance, fragments of a world floated like ashes in sunlight. She thought of her mother, of Helios 9, of the laughter that once echoed through steel corridors before it was replaced by screaming static. Mom, she whispered, I did it. But I don't know if you'd be proud. Her reflection stared back, not a hero, not a soldier, just a human who had pushed the universe too far. The fleet turned for home. Engines ignited, leaving behind a starless void where a sun once shone. Somewhere in that darkness, the memory of the Velther lingered, not as enemies, but as ghosts of what vengeance could create. As Earth received the transmission confirming victory, people filled the streets in celebration. Fireworks bloomed over cities, songs rose, and flags waved. Humanity had done the impossible again, survived. But far above the noise, in the silence between the stars, the void whispered a truth no one on Earth wanted to hear. In defending our humanity, we had to lose part of it. Mira closed her eyes as the stars drifted past. Tell Earth, she whispered. We heard them. And then there was nothing, only the quiet hum of the ship, and the endless silence over Velther.